You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. We're in the nation's heartland in Manhattan, Kansas, on the campus of Kansas State University. Beautiful autumn night outside, and the top-ranked team in the nation, the Texas Longhorns, have come to face Kansas State. I'm Sam Gore along with Jenny Hazelwood. Texas is the only undefeated team in the Big 12. Baylor has that one loss courtesy of Kansas, and Kansas State right now ranked in the top 15 at 3-1 in the Big 12. Texas has become synonymous with excellence, Jenny, but this year they have one of the top individuals in the sport.
And Logan Eggleston, the outside hitter for Texas, has had a phenomenal season. Of course, I don't think a lot of people are very surprised about that, but she's really improved in every area of her game, including her passing, her defense. She has a phenomenal serve. She leads all players playing this fall with 5.21 kills per set, and she just does everything for the Longhorns. On the other side of the net, you've got a little bit of a committee of outsides that we may see tonight, but freshman Jaden Nemhard had to come in and get the start 2 weeks ago against West Virginia, and she was fantastic. Led the team in kills per set in both of those matches. It actually garnered her Rookie of the Week honors for last week. And so great job by the freshman, but she was having to replace senior Bryn Carlson, who up until that point was leading the team in kills per set after the first weekend of play, but then had to miss the 2 matches against West Virginia. But the experienced senior, definitely one of those players that can score and score often for Kansas State. So we're going to see a mix of outsides for Kansas State.
And Nemhard will be on the bench to start the match. There's Bryn Carlson. Carlson, one of the top players in the Big 12, and Kansas State is led by Susie Fritz, who's in her 20th season and the winningest coach in Kansas State history. She's taken this program to 12 NCAA tournaments. Talking to her libero there. And on the other side of the net, also in his 20th season on the 40 acres, Jarrett Elliott, the head man who won the national championship with Texas in 2012, and last year ended a run of 13 straight trips to the regional finals, which if you compare that to basketball, that would be the Elite Eight. We're set to go in this best 3 out of 5 set match here in Manhattan, Kansas. Texas serving first. Specifically, that's Nalani Yosia. And a service error starts the match. Yosia getting the nod at the DS position from Torrance, California. And this is Shelby Martin, the setter, lefty. Butler in the middle with the first swing for Texas. Texas leads the nation in hitting percentage and kills. And a miscommunication there. Archibong sends it into the net. Point Texas.
And a little bit of a rally early on in this one. You mentioned the offense we've seen from Texas so far this season, but their defense has been fantastic as well. A really strong blocking team and solid defenders around it.
Morgan O'Brien, the libero, the grad student who played at Illinois just as recently as last year, graduated from there, keeps that alive. Eggleston. And Eggleston again tools the block. Point Texas.
And Eggleston has continued to show why she's been the offensive player of the week in the Big 12, just taking a really smart swing off of the hands of the block. She had 2 blockers in front of her, so she took a swing to kind of swipe it off the block.
It's pretty tough to make history at Texas. Violation on Texas gives the point to Kansas State, but no other Longhorn has ever won the league's offensive player of the week 3 straight times. So that's a spot in the record books for Logan Eggleston. We're tied at 2 here in this 3 out of 5 set match. Lauren Hinkle from Shawnee, Kansas, who graduated early and came to Kansas State. Graduated from high school early, came in last year. Gabriel with the set. Eggleston, this time she's stuffed. Point Kansas State.
The Kansas State blockers have gotten a number of really good block touches. Of course, Texas does a nice job of covering hitters, but that time just coming straight back down. Eggleston can't get out of the way.
Again, Texas has only lost one set this entire season, and 3 of the 4 matches Kansas State have played have gone to 5 sets. That's wide point Texas.
And it's interesting to me, too, with no non-conference before you reach conference play. I mean, these teams are figuring out what does and doesn't work while they're in their conference schedule. And in the past, we haven't had to do that.
Sydney Peterson serving now, the junior from Dike, Iowa. Mom's a very good coach at UNI.
Another net violation that time by Texas. Setter Jenna Gabriel just got in the net, and as an undersized blocker, maybe feeling like she has to get up a little bit higher, a little aggressive with her press over the net.
Yeah, Gabriel's only 5'8". Had a career high 58 assists, though, in the 4-set win over Oklahoma. Oklahoma's the only team this year to take a set off Texas, and there's a kill from the right side by Asia O'Neal, the daughter of former NBA star Jermaine O'Neal, and an inspiring story in and of herself. She's overcome 2 open heart surgeries and now competes for the top team in the nation at the elite level. Eggleston back to serve, and she is an excellent server as well. A little too much on that. Couple of service errors here early for Texas.
And coaches are typically okay with players missing serves if they're going on point scoring runs. So, you know, teams know they've got to serve tough and get their opponent out of system. If not, it's as good as, you know, giving the team a point, especially if they're a strong passing team.
Gabriel with the set, and that is put down by Skylar Fields. Fields, the sophomore, last year's Big 12 Freshman of the Year.
And Skylar Fields is a player that played in the opposite last season. She's playing on the outside here. She's done it all at all levels that she's played, so no issue for her to move to the left side.
Tight start to this match, 5-all here in the opening set. We played a 25 win by 2 in this set. Eggleston out of the back row, couldn't have walked it over there any better.
And just the heads up by Logan Eggleston, it's extra work for her to make that defensive play that she made and then get right up into her second step tempo, meaning she was already on her second of 4 steps when that ball was set so that they could still run it fast. And Logan just doing the work to make sure she can get a good swing. And a perfect set by Gabriel.
Tooling the block on the left side is Aaliyah Carter. And no, it's point Texas. Kansas State, we may have a challenge on this.
Yeah, the line judge on that sideline called for a touch, which when that's the call over on K-State's side, that means that one of the players touched it before it went out of bounds. If it had just been blocked out of bounds, the call is out. And so trying to get clarification here if the line judge was calling that off of one of the players of Kansas State, because that's what it would have to be based on her call.
That's Shelby Martin, number 11 in white, the setter from Waxahachie, Texas. She went over and talked to that up judge and has come over to give the explanation to Susie Fritz, who I guess is still contemplating a challenge, but gives us a chance to talk about Shelby Martin. It's her first year on this team. She went to East Carolina. She'll graduate in December, but transferred here to play her senior year. And she's already been voted to the team's 4-member leadership council. She instantly took to this team, and they're leaning on her in this critical position.
And Shelby Martin has done a really nice job coming in and running the offense for Kansas State. They have a ton of hitters. They have a lot of options. So really like seeing how Shelby Martin has just seamlessly fit in with this program.
Still have not been given word that a challenge has been issued, but this has been a pretty significant delay to get the explanation.
And it doesn't look like Susie Fritz is wanting to challenge it, but whatever explanation she came back with, well, maybe she is going to actually pull out that challenge card, because she's
more like threw it.
It seems like the down line judge over on that side said yes, player chasing after the ball touched it. And when it happened live, I did not think that she was that close to it. So I imagine that this might be a pretty quick replay.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jenny. It's Jared Elliott at the top of your screen, Susie Fritz at the bottom, both in their 20th season at these institutions. The challenges, you get 3 challenges per match. And these are the reviewable plays in or out, contacting a player net, fault by a player, a service foot fault, and the 3-meter attack line foot fault. And in this case, we're challenging a touch.
Absolutely. And if anywhere in the rally, this is interesting to me, one of the new things in this, so they can look at the rally from start to finish. And if, for example, there's a net violation by somebody else earlier in the rally and the call was reversed, that's what I figured.
How about that?
Would happen. And I think Susie Fritz was more frustrated that she had to use a challenge for that.
Well, that is, here it is again. That, as I said in real time, tooled the block. It ended up being Kansas State's point. Call was reversed, so we're tied at 6. That's the one thing, Jenny, me coming from the world of tennis, I think volleyball should go to. You should not be penalized, in my mind, when you win a challenge. So in tennis, you get 3 challenges per set, 3 incorrect challenges. So
I completely agree.
If you are wrong, you lose one. If you're right, you keep it. But we haven't got to that point. It's more about the time. Wanting to make sure the matches move at a good pace, but always room for improvement. Here's Drew Cook, sophomore from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Oh, nice, deliberate swing put down by number 5 in burnt orange, Skylar Fields.
And Skylar Fields is so high up. Her point of contact is just way up there. So it's not that she's, not just hitting the ball hard, but she's hitting it down. So that can be really tough to defend. You see how far in front of the defender that ball was hit.
She's 6'2", she touches 10'8". Texas noses back out in front after that challenge went against the Longhorns. Out of the middle, Breon Butler.
Butler runs a little bit of a higher quick attack out of the middle. Some teams you'll see they run their middles really fast, taking the ball right out of the setter's hands. Well, Butler, they set her a little bit higher and she just goes up and sees what the block gives her and puts balls away in the corner. It's really impressive. If she's one-on-one, she's probably scoring 95% of the time.
Gabriel Long, that's the 3rd service error on Texas here in the opening set. So almost half of Kansas State's points have come off Texas service errors. Katie Fernholtz, freshman from Miller, South Dakota. How bad did she love volleyball when she was in high school? She drove 2 hours to play for her club team.
I love what Coach Fritz said about Fernholtz, too, that she has surpassed all of their expectations in this freshman season because she did come from a very small town. And so, she wouldn't have as many big match experiences like some of these athletes from the Dallas area or the Houston area or California. So that she has come in and done a great job.
She became the South Dakota Player of the Year last year in high school. Long rally, longest of the match so far. Archibong hits straight into the Texas block. And that was into the net. Carlson got into the net. So the violation gives the point to Texas. Bryn Carlson, we expect to call her name a lot tonight, especially if Kansas State hopes to beat Texas.
And Coach Fritz not happy with that call either. The down official is the one that called that ball out. And she should have been standing right there, so should have had a pretty good angle on it. But Coach Fritz not happy with it.
Margie Ray, the down official. Up judges Mary Farragher. And an ace delivered by Jenna Gabriel. That's her 5th of the season. Excuse me, that's Yosia with the ace.
She made up for that missed serve earlier.
That's her 4th ace of the season. Archibong into the open court.
Great set decision that time by Shelby Martin. She went back to the slide attack Archibong running off 1 foot behind her because it gave Archibong that split, just a small enough split in the block where she could put that ball down.
Archibong is going to be future Dr. Archibong. She's studying to become a family practitioner or a dermatologist. Short serve into the net by Martin, point Texas. You know, it's interesting because Skylar Fields for Texas, number 5, she also wants to be a dermatologist. So we may have a little volleyball dermatology practice
That's
here
right.
between these two eventually. That is out. Point Texas. Carlson misconnects. Carlson has yet to get a kill and a couple of errors off 8 swings. She hasn't gotten into the flow yet. O'Brien with the serve. Good dig in that back row by O'Brien. Keeps it alive. Eggleston targets Morris. And finally, Kansas State outlasting Texas as Carlson gets her first kill.
And it was just a matter of time. You knew Bryn Carlson was going to get her kills, but this time takes a little bit of a higher swing and hits it off of the edge of the blocker's hands. So with either of these teams, if they're swinging low, the opposing blockers are going to get good touches, if not a stuff block.
Carlson also an academic All-American. She was the first academic All-American at Kansas State since 2010. Oh, that's just too easy. O'Neal hammers it.
When Texas is passing well, which they have been passing well this season, they're at times unstoppable. They always have pin attackers that can crush balls. When they're setters front row, they have, you know, whether it's the middle running behind so they can spread the ball. When Logan Eggleston's in the back row, she can swing. They just have so much offensive firepower.
I was thinking today, Coach Hazelwood, how you would scout or prepare a scouting report against Texas, because they can just hurt you in so many different ways as Carter gets in the scoring column.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of what you have to do is serve really tough so that they can't be in system. If Texas is in system, meaning the pass is up at the net where the setter has most, if not all, of their hitting options, then they're going to be tough to beat.
Well, that's a player you've got to stop if you have to have a chance to beat Texas. That's Logan Eggleston, who just, she almost makes it look easy at times. I mean, the game comes so easily to her. That's her 3rd kill off 8 swings. She's already got 3 digs as well. She is the epitome of a 6-rotation player. She really does everything well. There's another dig for Eggleston. That's out as O'Neal tried to create something that just wasn't there.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to try to get that tip shot. She wasn't in position to get a good swing. It looked like it was a little bit out of her reach, but she just missed wide. So I like the decision to try and tip to still score, but she just missed.
O'Neal is such a fun person to listen to. She's so mature and composed when she speaks, having overcome all of those life-threatening adversities. There's the tip, almost fooled Texas. Martin decides to take it over, and that's just not going to work with that ball in front of you, as O'Neal got most of that. So Texas trying to keep its undefeated streak alive here in Manhattan, Kansas, up 50. That Saturday, Jimbo Fisher, that's tomorrow. The 11th ranked Aggies, they're in Stark Vegas to take on Mike Leach and Mississippi State's Air Raid offense, 4 Eastern, 3 Central on ESPN and the ESPN app. Now I know why you're on such an early flight tomorrow, Jenny. You got to see your alma mater play football.
Well, my favorite part, though, is a Mike Leach post-game interview.
I think that's true with a lot of people. There's a kill by Aaliyah Carter.
And Aaliyah Carter is another freshman for Kansas State that's playing outside. We didn't talk about her in the open because of the unique situation between Bryn Carlson and Jaden Nemhard, but she has had a phenomenal start to her freshman campaign.
Yeah, Carter came to Kansas State early, arrived last January, so she was able to get in some work with the team before the shutdown occurred. 4 contacts, so the point goes to Kansas State. And Kansas State has scored a lot of points off Texas errors, which is not a good sign. Kansas State needs to start imposing themselves a little more. Here's Cook. Kansas State has lost its last 33 matches to Texas. That's the longest losing streak Kansas State has against any opponent. But this is such a good young team. When they get going, you never know what could happen. They're enjoying their highest ranking since 2012, and finally Carlson's getting going.
And that was a tight set, too. It was an out-of-system bump set. It was tight, but Bryn Carlson, knowing she has the smaller blocker in front of her, and Jenna Gabriel, just went and swung high and hard.
Butler with the off-speed. Nice pancake dig in that back row. Pancake dig was Bonde. Texas sides out. These two teams will play again tomorrow.
Well, Texas was arguing that that ball wasn't up, and I think that was a fair argument. That ball was down on the ground, but Texas ultimately won it and got another kill for Skylar Fields in the stat sheet.
Fields up to 3 kills, no errors, 6 swings. And good news for Kansas State that Carlson is becoming a factor in this match. Now up to 3 kills.
And Carlson this time did swing into the hands of the blockers, but Molly Phillips wasn't pressed all the way over when the ball hit her hand, so it went between her and the net.
Carlson's taken the most swings. That's her 13th right there. Eggleston, too much power.
It's impressive what Eggleston and her setter Jenna Gabriel do. She moves all along the back rows. So you can see here she's a little more between middle back and left back where she's swinging at that ball. Sometimes she'll swing more out of the direct middle back. Sometimes she's pulled more over to the right back area. And different teams have different names for those play sets. But the fact that they're communicating and on the same page when it's all happening so fast is really impressive.
That was a perfect set from Martin to Carlson. And Kansas State within 1 here in the opening set.
Carlson getting going is about the best thing that could happen for Kansas State right now. I mean, she is, you know, one of their senior leaders, and so definitely someone that they're happy to have back on the floor.
Butler again unleashing from the middle.
And there's really not much you can do to stop that on a perfect pass. If the blockers cheat any way to help block that, then a good setter can see that and feel that and will go to that person's attacker on their pin. So it's just really tough to stop. It's why you have to get a team like Texas out of system. 4th
service error on the Longhorns here in the first set. That was Morgan O'Brien who committed that error. Again, from Illinois. She was planning on just coming to Texas for grad school. Jared Elliott heard that there was a former Illinois player on campus attending grad school. He did a little research. He called her up. She was content raising her dog Luna and attending classes, and he convinced her to come play, and now she's starting.
And she has been fantastic. She was fantastic at Illinois and just been outstanding for the Longhorns this season.
Gabriel with the set. Phillips couldn't finish. They go opposite side, and this time it's Eggleston who gets the job done.
And Texas, again, just does a great job of covering their hitters. And it's something that every coach teaches and preaches. And you just see that the hitters for Texas have a lot of freedom. They feel like they have a lot of freedom to swing.
Can you explain that, Jenny? What's cover your hitter mean?
Yeah, so when the ball's in the setter's hands, you know, as soon as they set one of the hitters, you'll see a bunch of other players come around that attacker and just kind of to be there like that to cover a ball that's blocked. And so the players have to be there and ready and low. They can't just kind of stand in their area and hope it comes to them. So, you know, we're seeing a really nice job of coverage by Texas, and I really think their hitters just feel free to swing.
And finally, a big swing from Asia O'Neal ends the rally. O'Neal, that's her 3rd kill.
And if you're going to swing into a blocker, you probably don't want to go into Asia O'Neal's hands when you have Jenna Gabriel as the other blocker.
Well, right now, Eggleston has 5 kills, Fields has 3, and O'Neal is up to 3. But against Oklahoma, Jenny, they had 5 players in double figures with kills. I mean, that is so impressive in the sport of volleyball, in case you don't know out there.
That's as well balanced as it gets if you have 5 attackers with just 1 setter, which is what Texas has.
It would almost be like if you're a basketball fan, your team had 5 guys.
And then there have been some conferences, I think, that are starting late now as well. And they're not playing all of their conference matches this fall. So, you know, they're playing some in the spring that will count towards conference.
So only conference matches, and pretty much exactly like they've been doing their conference schedule in previous seasons. At the end of this fall schedule, they will crown a champion that gets the automatic bid. Texas up 20-17. Remember, we're going to 25, win by 2 in this first set. High flying attack is denied. That was Carter on the attack. And then finally, Texas ends it again. Eggleston just hammers it straight down.
The great defense by Texas, too, just allowing their setter, Jenna Gabriel, multiple options. It wasn't that setting outside was her only option there. And so not only have they been playing great defense, but they're putting a ball up where their setter has options.
That is pushed into the corner perfectly by Carter.
That's a heads-up play for the freshman. Different responsibilities when a tip is shown. That deeper tip would be the middle back defender's ball, but Yosia thought that Sydney Peterson was going to play it, so a little bit of a miscue for those two.
Did you see that vertical by Carter? She won the state title in the long jump and placed in the state championship in the high jump. She was an incredible track star in high school as well. And Carter's a bit undersized to play her position. She's only 5'9".
But she can absolutely fly. And we're a little bit a ways away from the court. But
a little bit?
Yeah, or a lot. But seeing her in person 2 weeks ago, I mean, it's impressive. It's fun to watch when you see that, how high she is off the ground.
What a serve by Eggleston. That ace used every bit of the back line. And Texas looking for a set point now, up 23-18. Eggleston with 6 kills, 4 digs, and an ace here in the first set. And Carter sides out for Kansas State to deny Texas the set point.
And Carter still keeps trying to go a little more cross court when she has the smaller blocker in front of her.
Carter has tied Eggleston now for the lead with kills in this match. Both have 6. And again, that is just a perfect set ball by Gabriel to Fields.
Well, Texas has been trying to run faster to the pins than we're typically used to seeing out of the Longhorns. They've always had such athletic and dynamic attackers that they could just set a high ball and the hitters could go up and hit around players. Well, now that they're bringing some more speed into their offense, especially from the pins, then they're just tough to defend.
O'Neal's ace ends the set, and Texas hitting 300 in the first set, almost doubles up the hitting percentage of Kansas State. Of a lot of those sets, she had 6 kills to lead the match in that category, along with Carter on Kansas State. But Eggleston really just lit up the stat sheet with an ace and 4 digs as well.
Anytime they were in a critical moment, Eggleston was ready to attack, whether she's in the front row or the back row. Even if she made the defensive play in the back row, she was ready to come up and be an attacking option. So just always working hard. And then Carter, the true freshman on the other side, you know, she's taken some really good aggressive swings, which is something that K-State really needed after a slow start by Bryn Carlson.
Susie Fritz's recruiting class this year was rated as high as 23 in the nation. Carter's part of that recruiting class. She was one of 3 finalists for Iowa's Female Athlete of the Year. Athlete of the Year.
Wow.
In the state of Iowa last year. Again, she was a track star as well as obviously a volleyball star. So we'll see if Kansas State can threaten a little more here in the second set. Susie Fritz taking her team off the court to talk to them. Again, Texas has only lost one set, and now it's 7 matches. That was in the first match of the year against Oklahoma on September 25th.
Well, if Kansas State is going to put more pressure on Texas, they will have to serve tougher. Texas has been in system, again, decent passes kind of around the net. You know, for Jenna Gabriel, it can be 8 feet off the net and she can still run her middles. She can run either pin. So they're going to have to get some poorer passing than that out of Texas if they're going to try to keep this close.
Shelby Martin will open up the second set serving. Martin, the senior from Waxahachie, Texas, who transferred in again from East Carolina. She leads this team in assists, and tonight has had a good match. 12 assists from Martin in the first set. Short serve that was returned by Phillips. We haven't heard too much from Phillips, and Phillips that time does get on the board with her first kill of the match. Phillips, number 15 in burnt orange, a sophomore from Mansfield, Texas, just outside of Dallas.
And Molly Phillips at 6'4", just another one of those extremely high-level players, just attacking at a very high contact point.
Bonday in the middle for Kansas State, sides out. Bonday, a sophomore from the state of Illinois. She's moved over to the right side this year, but she was in the middle on that play.
And that gives Kansas State a little bit more flexibility in what they run in certain rotations, because she can run out of the middle or run on the right side.
Bonday is hilarious as well. They've got some funny things on their social media page that Bonday's done. There's an ace. That was hammered by Lauren Hinkle. Hinkle, the biochemistry major, figuring out a spot to put that serve. Eggleston, just too much time.
Another perfect pass for Texas. And anytime they've been in system, you know, they're just so tough to defend. It was a perfect pass by Yosia. And I mean, Eggleston, if she's got a split in the block, she's probably going to get a kill.
And I have to say, Gabriel, I was able to watch them practice today, that she comes out and gets in a lot of reps before anyone else is ready. I mean, she must have had a good 15 minutes of her own individual practice before everyone else came out on the floor.
And that's super important when you're trying to run a faster paced offense, because the window gets a lot smaller because the attackers are already in their approach. And so the area they need the ball is a lot smaller than if it's high and the hitter can adjust.
Good serve receive from Peterson. That set up the rest of that point. Eggleston again with now her 8th kill.
And Eggleston this time is in good rhythm, but then chooses to go off speed. And that's a great time to do it, because the other team thinks she can go up and take a big swing at this ball, and then she drops a tip in.
By the way, Eggleston leads the Big 12 in aces as she delivers that serve. She's already had one tonight. Nice up in the back row by O'Brien. And that was just pushed over, but successfully by Skylar Fields.
We've seen that a few times from both of the Texas outside hitters, so clearly it's something they've worked on, that if you feel like you can push a tip more really to the middle of the court, middle, they've gotten a number of kills doing that.
Not only can different players hurt you, but those different players can hurt you in different ways. Double contact on Kansas State, point to Texas, and Texas now starting to get some momentum here in the second set.
You talked about Logan Eggleston's serve. So she serves a hybrid. It's a ball that's going to look like it's going to be a jump float, but then she does get some spin on it. I totally jinxed her with her serve there. It's fine. But it's a tough ball to pass, because not only is it going to come with the pace of a top spin ball, but it does move some side to side. And so, you know, it's hard enough if someone serves it at you pretty fast, but then when it's also moving side to side, that's tough.
Eggleston last year a second-team All-American. I would expect her to make a good run at that first team this year, maybe even National Player of the Year. There's Fields again, her second straight kill from that left side.
If Texas makes a run to be in the national championship game, I would absolutely expect Logan Eggleston's name to be among the National Players of the Year.
O'Neal back to serve for the Longhorns. Eggleston, good dig. That's got to go over. Good hustle by Texas. And what a target. Fernholz just hammers it over to that right side. Point Kansas State.
And a great job by Kansas State to get the kill ultimately in that rally. We talked a lot about the Texas players covering their hitters, and how about when you've got a middle that's going to cover? Of course, that's the scoring point by Kansas State, but the middle for Texas covered that ball. Asia O'Neal laid out to keep that ball in play. That's the kind of hustle that's impressive to me.
Carlson. Good dig by Cook. And then finally, Kansas State wins that rally.
And Bryn Carlson pointed at the defender that had to play that ball, Drew Cook, because she was not there blocking. So, I mean, it was before you saw that attack, that kill right there, but it was pretty much an open net for Breon Butler, and she was able to dig it. So.
Double contact called on Texas, so Kansas State has come back and now has the slight lead here in the second set. Jared Elliott, 6-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. Texas, one of only 3 programs east of California that's won the NCAA championship, but with Nebraska and Penn State. Phillips rotates back in for Texas. Look at Butler in the middle. We're tied at 7 in the second set. These two teams will play again tomorrow. Nice block.
A straight down stuff block by Skylar Fields. She got her hands over so far and early, so if that ball was hitting her hands, it was going to go nowhere but straight down. Really good job of hand placement.
Texas reclaims the lead 8-7. Carlson from the outside. How did she find that opening?
I'm not so sure she knows how she found that opening, because she kind of covered her face right after she got the kill.
Look at this.
Yeah, I think she just feels like she maybe got a little bit lucky. I don't know how I did that. It's great.
Carlson now with 6 kills. She has tied Carter for the team lead on the Kansas State side. And Martin ends up getting that point for Kansas State. That's one of the few times it's beneficial to be the shorter player.
And she was able to sneak that one through the blockers. The last time she tried that, she got the ball stuffed back on her side. So she was making sure she pushed that one through.
Good second set going here. Texas won the first set, 25-19. Fields hammers it.
Skylar Fields is pulled inside a little bit on that play, and the blockers didn't seem to adjust over enough. So they gave Fields plenty of room cross court. She bounced that ball in front of the defender. Fields
now with 7 kills, trails only Eggleston's 8 for the Longhorns. Garcia puts it in play. Back set from Gabriel over to Phillips. She's wide on the attack. Point Kansas State. Or was it touched? Wait a minute. I think we're going to get a touch call against Kansas State.
And
maybe a second challenge.
Possibly. It was the down official that called it. She called it right away on number 6 and right back.
I did not see the player you're referring to as Jackie Smith. But Susie Fritz is definitely going to challenge whether it was touched. The original call went to Texas. And Susie Fritz issued the challenge. to see if, in fact, it was touched. Now, according to you, Jenny, you were thinking that she thinks the judge thought Jackie Smith, number 6 in white, touched it. And
correct.
I didn't see that.
I don't think she did either. It wasn't too unlike the last play where that was challenged, where she reached for it, but the ball looked too far away to me there. Now, you know, the person doing the review, she's also the one that made the call. I mean, you know, she's going to do it right. She's going to get the right call, but she'd have to overturn herself here.
Susie Fritz having some fun over there with Bryn Carlson, Jared Elliott, and Eric Sullivan, one of the associate head coaches, talking to their team. In the top left of your screen while this challenge is sorted out. Eric Sullivan, by the way, a 2-time Olympian who played collegiately at UCLA. He still mixes it up in practice every once in a while. Enjoy watching him play just in practice. And Jackie Smith there, 6 in white, is the player they're seeing if it touched. Smith, by the way, is a 2-time first-team academic All Big 12 member. She's a kinesiology and nutrition major, and actually played libero a little bit last year. And again, this is the second challenge issued by Susie Fritz. She won the first challenge, but you only get 3 per match. So she's going to be down to 1 challenge after this, and she's going to be hot if she wins a second one and has just lost 2 challenges. So again, the point went to Texas originally, and now for the second time tonight, Susie Fritz has been successful on a challenge as that was overturned and the point given to Kansas State.
And that was the look we had earlier where it did look like the ball was pretty well past her. I mean, you could see space between the ball and her hand. So, I mean, a lot of credit to the official for overruling herself. I mean, they just want to get it right.
Well, and it was a big call, too, because Kansas State now is in front as Miller delivers the serve. Butler, that's how you handle that situation. Just unleashed the fury.
Every time Butler is getting the ball set to her, especially if she's right up along the net. I mean, she's hitting 500, 4 kills on 8 attempts.
She's unstoppable when she swings. It's fun to watch. Carlson hits right into the Texas block. Phillips and O'Neal deny the point, and Texas sides out. 11-10, Longhorns leading. They're up a set in this 3 out of 5 set match in this Big 12 regular season match. The Big 12 will crown its champion, which gets the automatic bid into the April NCAA tournament at the end of this fall season. They're the only conference right now doing that. ACC and SEC tracking alongside, playing volleyball as well, but they're not crowning their automatic bid conference champion at the end of the fall. Carlson on the attack, a violation called against Texas.
And a net violation on the blockers. And just for those of you out there that don't know, that's actually statted as a kill for Bryn Carlson. So she gets kill number 7 off of the net violation by Molly Phillips.
Carlson 7 kills off 21 swings. She's taken the most swings in the match. O'Neal, quick set, quick finish.
And again, that pass close to 10 feet off the net, and Texas is still feeding the ball to their middles. When, they have Logan Eggleston front row. They also have Molly Phillips on the right pin, and they set the middle in those situations. That's really going to stress an opposing block and defenders.
Again, O'Neal, the daughter of NBA superstar Jermaine O'Neal. Longhorns starting to build a little momentum right now. Kansas State needs to side out. Peterson is back to serve again. Peterson, one half of twins, I should say. I was trying to figure out how to say that. They actually have 2 sets of twins in the Peterson family. Wow. Sydney has a twin, and then there's another set of twins. Kansas State got the side out. Gabriel takes it over herself for her first kill. And we welcome those of you who have been watching that epic match in South Bend between Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, and you are watching now the #1 ranked team in the nation, the Texas Longhorns, against Kansas State, who has its highest ranking since 2012. For Texas, Eggleston leads the nation in kills. She leads the Big 12 in aces. Texas leading this match, but I said that is dumped over by Skylar Fields.
And you mentioned the great serve of Logan Eggleston, which led to that overpass, and then the score on the push by Skylar Fields. And I mean, that kind of firepower from behind the service line to someone to clean it up at the net.
Texas as a team leads the nation in hitting percentage and kills. And Eggleston again with the service error. That's been the one stat that Texas has not done well in so far tonight. That's the sixth service error on the Longhorns, but it hasn't hurt them overall in the match. Smith to serve for the Wildcats. Gabriel with the set, perfectly placed and hammered by Asia O'Neal.
And Sydney Peterson made a fantastic play in serve receive. Definitely trying to cover for Logan Eggleston so Eggleston can be available to hit, and it allows Gabriel to run the offense.
As fun as that front line is for Texas, Peterson in the back row is fantastic. Watching her dive all over the place, sacrificing her body.
Between Peterson, O'Brien, and Yosia, their back line is really good with defensive players.
Carter with the kill for Kansas State. The freshman from Dubuque, Iowa, who was a candidate for Iowa's Athlete of the Year last year. She was a track champion in the long jump and high jump. She's undersized as an outside hitter, only 5'9", but we've seen tonight she can fly. Cook serving. One of the few times Butler's been denied in the middle for Texas. Carlson finds the opening. Bryn Carlson, the junior, who is already graduated, but still playing for Kansas State. She is their go-to on that side. Fields denied by Cook. Back row attack by Eggleston does not work. Kansas State starting to build a little momentum here.
And that's the second time we've seen an attack error by Logan Eggleston on that. It's a back row attack, but behind the setter. And she's hit those into the net twice now.
And those are the only two errors she's had so far in this match. Eggleston, one of the top players in the nation, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week for the first 3 weeks of the season. And it's, I was joking, it's pretty hard to make history when you attend a program like Texas because they're so synonymous with excellence. But no other Longhorns ever won that Offensive Player of the Week 3 straight times. And Eggleston puts her name in the history books. Texas holding to a 1-point lead. They won the first set. Now, a lot of you are watching Notre Dame and Pitt, and the Big 12 will crown its conference champion at the conclusion of this fall season. So they'll already know who gets the automatic bid from the Big 12. These two teams will play again tomorrow here in Manhattan. Jared Elliott, 6-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, who won the national championship with this team in 2012. Carlson tooling the block. And Carlson picks up another kill to pull Kansas State within 1. Well, Texas right now hitting .458 in the second set. They lead the nation in hitting percentage, as I mentioned earlier, hitting .342 per average. And all the stars have really stepped up in this match, Jenny.
And not a surprise. We knew we would see that. What we've seen a little more in this set is the passing for Texas isn't quite as solid as it was in the first set.
Eggleston tools the block. Archibong could not handle the power of Eggleston. And Eggleston gets the kill and now becomes the first player in the match with double figures. That's her 10th kill. Yosia back to serve. High school All-American last year out of Torrance, California. And Archibong gets the kill. Future Dr. Archibong, studying to be a dermatologist.
Archibong likes to go behind the setter. That time, instead of challenging more the seam of the block, she went for the outside edge of the block. And so that made it tough for Texas to try to get a hand on the ball defensively.
Archibong's also coming off shoulder surgery just before the shutdown. So she had to do all of her rehab by herself. It's just a real testament to her tenacity and desire to get back to playing. And she didn't have the normal help that you would have as a Division I student athlete because of that quarantine. Susie Fritz so proud of how Archibong has come back. And there is an ace, and Kansas State trying to do what only Oklahoma has done this year, and that's win a set against the Longhorns. Texas came into this match having dropped just one set all season, and Kansas State's up 20-19.
And Kansas State has definitely been serving a lot tougher. And they've been able to not just get a few aces, but also have been able to get Texas out of system a little bit more.
That was Martin delivering the ace. Martin's first ace of the match and only her 4th of the season. She transferred into this program from East Carolina. This is her senior season, but has made an instant impact. Well, we invite you to kick off your Week 6 NFL Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Countdown Crew on ESPN and the ESPN app. They'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and previews of each game right up to kickoff. That's Sunday Countdown in about 48 hours. Texas undefeated this year, 6-0. They've only dropped one set. They have dominated this conference. Since 2011, they've only lost 8 total conference matches. And up until last year, had made 13 straight regional finals, which if you want to compare that to the basketball tournament, would be 13 straight Elite Eights. Jared Elliott has guided this team to the only undefeated record in the Big 12 so far. Baylor 5-1 last year, made the national semifinals. They lost to Kansas in the opening weekend of play. So Kansas State getting pretty close to threatening to win this second set. We're going to 25, win by 2. Texas, no surprise, going to Eggleston early. And the off-speed works for Carlson.
Very well disguised off-speed shot by Bryn Carlson, especially when she's been taking some pretty big swings. And this is a ball that she could have taken a big swing. So just choosing to go off speed, really well placed in between those two defenders that would be responsible for that.
And Carlson now has 10 kills, but more importantly, Kansas State is 4 points from winning this set. Ace. What a serving run being enjoyed by Martin. And a timeout taken by the Longhorns. Texas needs to get it in gear as they are close to losing just their second set of the season. And Kansas State up 22-19 as head coach Jared Elliott lets Eric Sullivan do the talking in this timeout so far. And now he'll move in. Shelby Martin. How about this serve, Jenny?
And Shelby Martin has had a few aces I will say she looks like she gets really close to foot faulting a lot when she serves, but she is putting a really flat ball over the net, and then it's moving after it crosses the net. So those are the toughest balls to pass. Passing is hard, and even if you have played volleyball, you can attest to it's hard. If you have not played volleyball, a lot of times these athletes make it look easy. It is the hardest thing to do in our sport. So just able to get Texas out of rhythm more with tough serves.
When she was at East Carolina, she had a triple-double. She was the first East Carolina player to ever do that. She had 10 kills, 14 digs, 34 assists against Memphis a couple of seasons ago. And Kansas State is right now enjoying a 5-0 run. They are 3 points from claiming this set. Martin from the tiny town in Texas, Waxahachie. Biggest city it would be close to would be Dallas. Gabriel setting Eggleston, and Eggleston sides out for the Longhorns.
A little extra power put behind that swing by Eggleston. She was going to make sure that the defenders, even if they touched it, that they couldn't control it.
Texas within 2. Deep in the second set. Texas wins another one, and they pulled to within 1. Can Kansas State hang the loss on Texas in this set?
And the up official is actually going to
reversed it.
Yeah, and make the call that the setter for Kansas State, she's back row, Shelby Martin's back row. And so the ball was passed kind of tight, and the rule is the ball has to be fully above the plane of the net. Now, that's not something that can be challenged as far as the height of the ball in relation to the net when contact is made. Now, one of the things that's different this year is that they can review if the setter, say, touched a ball as it was going over in their back row, or a blocker touched a ball with the back row setter when the ball was on their side. So some things that are a little bit different. And Jared Elliott's asking for clarification because he thought, and honestly, when it happened live, I mean, we're pretty far up, but it looked like part of the ball was below the plane of the net. So, and again, it's a judgment call, and it's her judgment call. Whenever the setter's making contact, if any part of the ball is below that plane of the net, the very top of the net tape, then it's not a back row attack.
Well, the call is reversed in real time. Originally it went to Texas, and they changed it to Kansas State. This is a crucial time here in this second set as they're going to 25, win by 2. But it appears that Jared Elliott and the Longhorns and Eggleston are going to lose this argument, and the point's going to go to Kansas State. Eggleston is quite the leader. She's so charismatic. She's exactly who you'd want to argue your case out there. In fact, she's president of the Student Athletic Advisory Committee on the University of Texas campus among all athletes.
And what she's arguing is that the ball was below the plane of the net, and so that would have actually made it, Texas would win that rally because the block was made and then Kansas State didn't recover it. And I think she has a valid argument there. Of course, we have the privilege of the replay. The up official does not have that. She had to make that call live.
Well, let's see how Texas responds to this adversity. Kansas State is now 2 points away from the set, and Eggleston appropriately immediately sides out.
You have to think Eggleston is probably going to get a lion's share of attempts here at the end for Texas because a little bit of extra motivation. She wasn't happy about that last call, so she's going to find a way to score.
Kansas State still 2 points away from claiming the set. Texas won the first set 25-19, and Carter gives Kansas State set point.
Carter had no trouble finding the space around the smaller blocker that time, recognizing that Jenna Gabriel at just 5'8" was the blocker in front of her. Makes a nice swing.
The libero Morris will serve. Set point, Kansas State. Morris with the dig. And O'Neal's error gives Kansas State the second set. For just the second time this year, Texas has lost a set, and the Wildcats even this match.
Well, Kansas State really upped their serving game in that set, caused a lot of trouble for Texas, and ultimately getting the last point. And Kansas State exactly what they needed to do, rebounding out of the first set.
So Kansas State enjoying its highest ranking since 2012 at number 13 in the nation has worked, and we're playing on a beach out here. What's going on?
Hey, you just gotta love seeing the students wanting to get out there and play this great sport.
Well, they love volleyball all over Big 12 country. And this year, it has been an outstanding individual season for our current players of the week. The entire way, Logan Eggleston, Chanel Bramschreiber, and Caroline Crawford have had outstanding starts to the season.
And just three fun players to watch. Logan Eggleston has been on fire all season long. No surprise, really, after last season. Chanel Bramschreiber, after seeing her take over the libero duties at Baylor, I mean, she has really set herself apart. And Caroline Crawford, the rookie at Kansas, has been phenomenal.
Texas remains the only undefeated team in the Big 12. Kansas is who hung the loss on Baylor, and Texas has only came into this match having only dropped one set the entire season. Now the Big 12, Jenny, though, it's interesting. They're kind of keeping things fairly, should I say, normal in terms of the way they're approaching this fall season.
Absolutely. They are the only conference right now playing their full double round robin format. All 16 matches will be played this fall, and they just felt like it would give them the chance to make sure they got their season in, and then, you know, they will determine the conference champion from this fall.
Which gets the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. So things getting very interesting tonight here in Manhattan, as Texas dropping that set. First set they've lost since September 25th. That was to Oklahoma. But Eggleston and Carlson, the two stars we talked about in our open, Jenny, they came up big.
And Brendan Carlson, after a slow start in the first set, really picked it up in the second set, which was exactly what Kansas State needed. Of course, Logan Eggleston taking the big swings when her team needs it. She does have a little more support in getting kills from other players on her side, but down the stretch, the Texas passing struggled, and Kansas State was able to pull out the win.
Well, a little foreshadowing. Jared Elliott said after their last win against Iowa State, he said it's really tough to beat a team in 3 straight sets, and that was certainly evidenced tonight by this young resurgent Kansas State program as they were able to claim that second set. Texas, there's a look at the hitting percentages in each set. Again, Texas leads the nation in hitting percentage at .342, but they've also been holding opponents this year to .146 hitting, so Kansas State doing much better than the average Longhorn opponent. It'll be Texas serving to start the third set. It's a 2 out of 3 set from here on out. Have to win 3 sets in volleyball to win the match. First 4 sets go to 25, win by 2. If we get to a 5th set like they did in the match which preceded us, it'd be to 15, win by 2. And Eggleston with the block.
Picture perfect blocking technique. Eggleston gets in front of the hitter, presses her hands over again before the hitter's making contact, so that she just has nowhere to go.
That was the first block on Eggleston, and now a hitting error on Carlson gives Texas the quick start here in the third set. Carlson with 10 kills off 28 swings. Martin setting Carlson again, and this time she delivers.
Great set selection by Shelby Martin as the middle for Texas. Butler, she shaded to go with the middle behind, who was running behind their setter, behind Martin. So able to get that one-on-one for Bren Martin.
Jenny, you were able to see this Kansas State team earlier this year. What's different between when you saw them earlier and now?
Well, one of the glaring differences is Bryn Carlson was not available to play that weekend. She didn't even make the trip to West Virginia. So freshman outside Jaden Nemhard, who we haven't seen, she was phenomenal. I mean, she averaged close to 4 kills per set against West Virginia on the weekend. I mean, she was just so good. So it was really neat to see another true freshman, because they have a number of true freshmen playing, just stepping up when the team needed her.
Yeah, Nemhard got Rookie of the Week in the Big 12 that week, but we have not seen her play tonight, as Carlson's been outstanding. There's Nemhard, number 10 in white. Again, she was the Big 12 Rookie of the Week after 24 kills one match, then 19 more in the next one when Carlson was out. Texas looking strong here in the first 5 points, and so is Carlson. She's got both Kansas State points.
Well, Jaden Nemhard again was asked to step into that starting role when Carlson wasn't able to make the trip. And as a coach, you never fully know how a player is going to respond to that kind of adversity, and it didn't seem to faze her at all. And I have a feeling if Kansas State ever needs her to come off the bench for anything in any of the pin positions, she'd be great.
Gabriel saves that, and O'Neal finishes it.
You mentioned the save by Gabriel. That pass was a little bit tight, so she did a good job because she was still in the back row at the time. She did a really good job of going and bringing the ball back a little bit and getting the ball to her middle.
Asia O'Neal, who had open heart surgery last January, has already come back to compete at this level. Carter gets the kill for Kansas State. O'Neal had a leakage in one of the valves in her heart. She had it when she was a little girl, had surgery when she was 12, and then had to have surgery again after the season last year. The daughter of NBA star Jermaine O'Neal. What a comeback she's had, and such a mature young woman as well. I love listening to her talk and speak, as O'Neal is a very thoughtful and charismatic young woman. Gets the second kill in the last 2 points for Texas there.
Definitely a remarkable person after all that she's been through, to still do what she's doing at such a high level with a smile on her face.
Eggleston leads the Big 12 in aces. That was a good serve. And O'Neal just absolutely on fire right now. What didn't she do in that rally?
She got both the block touches to keep it on the Kansas State side, and then when the overpass came, she cleaned it up too.
And O'Neal now up to 8 kills. Texas up 7-3 here in this pivotal third set. Eggleston got a touch, so that is an ace for Eggleston.
Mackenzie Morris, the libero for Kansas State, she did try to pull away. That ball probably was going out, but she didn't get out of the way fast enough.
Eggleston now with 2 aces tonight. She leads the Big 12 in that category, as well as in kills. And Kansas State takes a timeout as Texas has sprinted out to an 8-3 lead here in this pivotal third set. We're tied at a set apiece. Kansas State won the second set. And every match is so important this fall, as the winner of the fall season gets the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament in the spring. Let's revisit what's happened so far tonight.
Well, in the first set, Texas just seemed to be really on fire. Of course, Aaliyah Carter has done her job and what they've needed her to do, but Logan Eggleston came up big and got a number of kills for the Longhorns in the first set. The second set, of course, was a little bit tighter, and you love to see the response from Kansas State. They put a little more service pressure on the Longhorns, and even though it was close and both teams still getting after it offensively, it really was the weaker passing by Texas that allowed Kansas State to be in it close to the end of that set and pull out the win.
Kansas State hitting .234 tonight as a team. That's much better than the average Longhorn opponent, who've Only been making 146 in the hitting percentage category. And Martin had an excellent run of serving at the end of that second set to propel Kansas State to victory. Martin, a transfer from East Carolina University for her senior season here. Still undecided as to what she'll do next year with the extra year of eligibility granted by the NCAA. See if the timeout paid off. It does. Carter tools the block on the left side, and it's immediate side out for Kansas State after that timeout.
And Carter is one of the true freshmen that plays for Kansas State, but she seems to play with a lot of poise, and she doesn't seem to get rattled all that often. So you see a smile on her face quite a bit. She just doesn't let stuff get to her.
Another point for the Wildcats as the ace delivered by Jackie Smith. They are leaning heavily on newcomers this year. And it's interesting because right now a newcomer leads this Kansas State team in kills, assists, aces, and digs. What makes that impressive is they return their leaders in those categories from last year. So the future looks very bright for Kansas State.
And I believe that's why Kansas State is ranked as high as they are. It's why they're doing well so far this season, because they have filled in some of the positions that they really needed. And those young players, or the transfer players in, are doing a phenomenal job.
Skylar Fields with an incredible celebration after that kill.
I will say Skylar Fields might be my favorite player to watch celebrate.
Really?
Yeah. You know, we've all seen the Texas clip where she's like jumping in the middle of the court, kind of like Michael Jordan. And I mean, that's just Skylar. I mean, she celebrates a lot, and I love it.
Fields was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year. And the up judge blowing the whistle.
An inadvertent whistle, so we're going to have a replay.
Fields, just a sophomore. She was the #1 rated recruit coming out of high school from Missouri City, Texas. And touches 10-8. Again, I mentioned earlier, she's thinking she wants to be a dermatologist. She's majoring in biology. A back row attack from Carter. That's out. Point Kansas State.
Well, early the middles for Texas, both of them were able to score at a pretty high rate. We've seen a few more errors from both middles here as of late, and that's been something that we just didn't see from them early on.
It's actually 9-7 now in favor of Texas. Back to serve is Cook. Fields again with that little pushover shot. What do you call that shot, Jenny?
I mean, I don't.
It's like something you see on the beach.
She's shoving it. She's just shoving it into the middle. So if a court is about 30 feet long, this ball's pushed to about 15 feet and in the middle of the court. So the two defenders on the sides are a little too shallow to get that, and then the middle back defender's a little deep.
It's smart. That's what it is. 10-7 Texas in front here in the third set. We're tied at a set apiece in Manhattan, Kansas. It's Big 12 regular season match. These two teams will play again tomorrow. Texas arrived here last night. Fernholz, one of those talented freshmen in Susie Fritz's top 25 recruiting class. Gabriel with the set, nice up. Phillips unsuccessful. Despite the nice hustle by Gabriel, Carlson finds the right spot, point Kansas State.
And that's the second time we've seen Carlson make sure she puts it really kind of in what would be as in between as possible from the off blocker, which is Skylar Fields, and the right back defender, which is Jenna Gabriel. There's an area that's kind of right in between them, and she does a great job of finding that.
Kansas State within one, trying to tie here. Fields, good one-handed dig there by Carlson, and eventually Kansas State wins that rally. Didn't see that coming.
with the free ball kill, wins that rally. And that's just not taking care of your passing responsibilities. Great defensive play by Kansas State, but this free ball sent over to that area for a particular reason, because if the front row player bails and the back row player is not pulled up enough, then you can score there.
Well, Fields just ends that run and squelches the momentum of Kansas State with an emphatic kill, as Jared Elliott has a word with his young superstar. Jared in his 20th season here, 6-time Big 12 Coach of the Year. He's been the National Coach of the Year as well. Phillips. And this time, Eggleston says no mas.
Some phenomenal defensive play on both sides, but it's the incredible swing to end this play. I mean, that was a perfect set. Okay, Jenna Gabriel, you just lay out and get a perfect set with one fist.
Gabriel with 35 assists in this match. She had her career high 58 earlier this year. And there's some more high volleyball IQ displayed by Kansas State.
And Shelby Martin, the left-handed setter in the front row, she can go over when she's in the front row and hit it in a bunch of different spaces. And she has found success when she's gone deep in other matches I've seen this season.
Martin has 3 kills in this match. She had 13 for the season coming in from that setter position. Phillips, too much power. Molly Phillips from the right side.
When you got someone like Molly Phillips who does a fantastic job, I mean, you hear a lot about Logan Eggleston and Skylar Fields. I mean, they've just got some really dynamic athletes. Molly Phillips quietly does an amazing job too.
Phillips had 12 kills at Oklahoma earlier this year for her season high. Another point for Texas.
She's a strong blocker. She's a strong attacker. And she actually has a great serve. We're not seeing her serve because the defensive player that comes in for her in the back row, you see she serves, but Molly Phillips is a strong player all the way around.
It's a Texas family. She and her brother both undergrads at Texas. There's Eggleston, a nice save by Morris to come in and keep that rally alive for Kansas State. But eventually, it is O'Neal in the middle who ends it.
Well, Jenna Gabriel has been fantastic and has the Longhorns taking the 15-11 lead here in this third set.
Kansas State hitting over their season average right now at 239. We're tied at a set apiece. There's an ace delivered by Morgan O'Brien, the transfer from Illinois, who's in grad school now, getting her master's in health behaviors and health education. Middle attack is successful by Holly Bonde.
Texas was serving into that traffic where all the hitters were stacked over sort of in the left front area of the court, but great job by passing. And you know, it's tough to do when you're trying to not get in the way as an attacker, but then it's a perfect pass and able to set up Bonde for the kill.
Kansas State won the second set. It's only the second set Texas has lost this season. Phillips tools the block and sides out for the Longhorns, and Phillips will rotate out. Phillips' dad played college football. I mentioned her brother's attending UT with her. She won a gold medal with the under-20 women's national team a couple of years ago.
I actually coached her that year.
What'd you think?
I mean, she's just such a great person. I mean, there were a number of players on this Texas team that played for that junior national team that summer and this past summer. Molly Phillips, Logan Eggleston, and Skylar Fields. And I mean, they are phenomenal human beings as well. Not just great volleyball players. That's obvious. You can watch. I mean, I told Logan Eggleston's mom, if my daughter is anything as a human the way Logan is, I will be one happy mother, because she's just a great kid.
Eggleston, a leader on the Texas campus. This is a fantastic finish to this point by Kansas State. Watch how this develops. Texas still with a lead here in the third. Ace.
Well, Kansas State has found a little bit of a weakness in the Texas passers, going after freshman Yosia, and she's been aced a few times.
Mackenzie Morris delivered that ace, and it prompted Jared Elliott and the Longhorns to take a timeout, as Texas doesn't want to lose this momentum. Texas undefeated this year. They're #1 in the nation for the 3rd straight week. And let's go back and revisit that last ace.
A really good ball that it just moves at the last minute. And of course, Yosia is really trying to take quite a bit of court so that Logan Eggleston can get out to hit, so she doesn't have to worry as much about passing responsibilities. But when it's a tough serve and it moves late, that's when you make
a normal regular season. And the winner of this regular season in the fall part of the schedule will be crowned conference champion and lock down the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. The spring has not been decided yet by the Big 12, how they're going to handle that. Morris had the ace before the timeout. Eggleston. Carter. And Kansas State building momentum.
Carter with a heads-up swing, knowing where the defenders for Texas play. Because in out-of-system situations, the middle back defender sort of shades a little more over to her line. So she hit more in the middle of the court. That was a great shot selection.
Carter's having an outstanding offensive performance tonight with 12 kills, hitting .375. Good dig by Peterson. Here's Eggleston to try to finish. Denied. Gabriel with the back set off the slide. O'Neal can't finish.
And Texas is not happy a ball handling error was not called on that last play.
Eggleston has to try to send that over and does. Scrappy rally. And finally, Carter again with the finish.
Admire the all-out hustle on both sides, but I definitely see kind of the argument that you would see that Texas is trying to make right here. The ball was passed over to the right front area. And so Holly Bonde, the opposite for Kansas State, she's the one that played the ball overhead, and it really was behind her head. So she kind of reached back and, you know, just did the best she could to make a play on the ball. And then, of course, Aaliyah Carter putting the ball away to earn that point for Kansas State. But it's a judgment call, so Texas can argue all they want to. But that's what they're arguing, that they felt like that was a bad touch on the ball.
Well, the best you can hope is just to plant that seed in the official's head for the future in this match. But Kansas State has come back and is within 1 now. Remember, Kansas State won the second set. It's only the second set that Texas has lost. And Jared Elliott has received a yellow card as well for arguing that call.
Well, and on the very first contact, a player can make a double contact. So I wonder if the up officials' reasoning was, you know, it was, or actually it was the second contact of that rally, because the ball was covered and then she played it. So whatever the up official said, you know, I mean, obviously Jared was not happy with it.
And now we've got another controversy, as originally the call went Kansas State's way and then was overruled. Texas has been given the point. Both teams out of system here.
And you know, of course, Susie Fritz only has 1 challenge left, and that ball absolutely went off of the K-State blocker's arm and out of bounds. So it was the right call. So, you know, really good job to not use her challenge.
Eggleston with the error, and Kansas State is back within 1. A lot of emotion in this match. The intensity is really high. This is inside the Fred Bramlage Coliseum. The capacity here is limited to 25%. They love their volleyball here in Manhattan, Kansas. They normally play in the Ahern Fieldhouse, and it is a rocking fieldhouse. Texas needs to side out to break this momentum. Carter, one-handed dig by Peterson. And Carter again. Carter's on fire here in the third set.
And not only did Carter make an unbelievable swing on that play, it wasn't a traditional swing. Carter is usually swinging out of the left side of the court, but because of where she was playing defense, she made the adjustment, told her setter where she was hitting, and gets a great kill.
Kansas State has tied the score at 18 here in the third set. The match is tied at a set apiece. Carter again. Tools the block. Point Kansas State.
Great court awareness by the freshman. She was there and could have covered herself, but just knew where she was and knew that ball was going out of bounds.
It's a one-woman show right now as Carter has the Wildcats on her back and has given them the 1-point advantage here deep in the third.
Just off the block and knowing that she was on the sideline basically when she landed. So that ball was outside of her body. She let it go. Really heads up play by the freshman. And the freshman now leads all players with 15 kills.
Well, the crowd that is here is fired up as Kansas State is up by a point. And a lot of students we talked to on campus watching from home tonight. This is where they normally play volleyball, the Mike Ahern Fieldhouse. It's one of those iconic old gyms that is really loud. The sound effects are incredible in there. The fans are right on top of the court. It's tough for opponents to play the Wildcats in there, and they've moved to the basketball facility here. But there are plans for an Olympic volleyball center to be developed here on campus, where volleyball will have much improved facilities as they're trying to upgrade things for this very talented volleyball team. There's construction going on over the football stadium right next to the Bramlage Coliseum. And they're enjoying playing here in the Coliseum this year. Ahern doesn't have air conditioning. You wouldn't have needed it today, though.
No, that's true.
But I've been to Manhattan, Kansas when it was hot and they had to play in that heat, which is obviously an advantage for Kansas State because they're used to it.
When I played back in the day, we did not have AC, and that was in the South. So it was definitely a huge advantage for us because we were used to it.
They are going for their 20th all-time win here in this Coliseum, and it would be the most impressive in school history to beat a #1 for the first time. Long way from that, however. Kansas State clinging to a 1-point lead here in the third set. And again, Carter comes up big.
And another heads-up swing by Aaliyah Carter to hit it into middle back. That set coming from the back court, so Texas shifts their middle back defender over, and so that's what's open. The middle of the court, deep in the middle of the court, it's wide open.
Carter now has 16 kills, and there's an ace to add insult to injury for the Longhorns as Jackie Smith picks up the ace. She leads the team in that category, but it's a 3-point advantage for Kansas State. Remember, we're going to 25, win by 2.
It was tough serving at the end of the second set that really pulled it out for Kansas State, trying to repeat here in the third.
Out, and things just keep getting worse for Texas and better for Kansas State.
An unforced error by Skylar Fields trying to hit that sharp cross. She just misses.
Kansas State up 22-18 here in the third. The match is tied at a set apiece. Kansas State has won the last 6 points. And And finally, that 6-point run ends with the hitting error. And Texas begins the comeback attempt.
Fernholz on the slide behind the front row setter, Shelby Martin, but that ball was coming from off the net, so she really tried to hit it down a little too much, hits it in the net.
Texas needs some points in a hurry. Carter with the off speed. She's been the go-to player. She's really taken over this third set for Kansas State.
She's had some great swings, so electing to go off speed as the defenders are all back there trying to be ready for the hard-driven ball, and then she just drops in the short off-speed shot.
Carter rotates out, 17 kills. She leads the match. She's hitting .412 as well. And another tough serve. Kansas State has arrived at set point. This would give them a 2-1 lead against the #1 team in the nation. Fields is perfect in her attack. Side out Texas. But the set points remain for Kansas State.
Well, Kansas State still has a number of chances to pull off this set win.
Gabriel serving for the Longhorns. Off the net. Fields again. Good dig by Morris. Carlson. Whistle blows. Violation on Texas. And guess what? Kansas State is up 2-1 against the Texas Longhorns.
Well, Kansas State just continued to play pretty steady in that third set. Their serving was tough, especially late in the set, and really frustrated the passers for Texas. And I just did a phenomenal job of just sticking with it, and then gets the net violation here on set point.
Kansas State up 2-1 against Texas. Texas will have to go to Texas Longhorns. And things are starting to even up a bit in the stat categories, Jenny.
Yeah, and you talked about evening up in the stat categories, especially in the hitting area. But one of the biggest differences, Texas has 7 missed serves, and Kansas State, they have 5, but Texas also has 5 aces. So a surprising thing, I guess, if you will, that Kansas State has 7 aces and only 1 missed serve. So that's really kind of been a big difference, especially toward the end of set 2 and the end of set 3.
So again, Texas is undefeated. They've been ranked #1 in the nation for the first 3 weeks of the season. The last 3 weeks they've been #1. Kansas State ranked number 13, its highest ranking since 2012. One of the best servers tonight so far, Shelby Martin, will start things out for Kansas State as soon as she gets the green light. We're heading into the 4th set. This set goes to 25, win by 2. Now, if Texas wins this set, we would play a 5th set, which would go to 15, win by 2. Texas has not played a 5-setter this year, and 3 of the 4 matches Kansas State has played have gone to 5 sets.
So definitely Kansas State, really, and being the team that's not ranked higher here, you know, they can play with a little bit of you've got nothing to lose. And, you know, you get the big win, and it's great over the #1 team in the country. And, you know, if you can't pull out the win, then you played great against the #1 team in the country. So really, Kansas State seems pretty relaxed.
So sit back. Let's watch this drama unfold. Little tip to open play, and it is successful by Skylar Fields. Fields with the off speed scores the first point of the 4th set. She's got 13 kills tonight. Check that now, it's 14 kills. Takeover by Martin doesn't fool the Longhorns. And Fields tools the block. Fields responsible for both Longhorn points to start the fourth.
And you mentioned the heads-up play by Butler to make that contact on the first ball when it was set over. It's a really nice heads-up play.
O'Neal back to serve. For the majority of that break, the Texas Longhorn players had their own team meeting without a coach present. And the Wildcats side out on the third point of the set. And leading that team meeting was that player right there, 44 in black, Morgan O'Brien. She has been immediately adopted by this Longhorn team. The only season she's played with Texas, and she wasn't even planning on playing volleyball this year after a successful run with the University of Illinois, graduating last year, had that extra year of eligibility left. Carter picking up where she left off in the third. There's her first swinging kill of the fourth.
Aaliyah Carter continuing to make some really nice swings. She is aware of where the blockers are, so she knows what kind of defense Texas is playing. So she's just really picking them apart.
And Carter is just a freshman. Remember, there's another ace by Kansas State. Now, Jenny, coming into this match, Kansas State was not really known as a very good serving team. They've really turned that up tonight.
And that's something you absolutely have to do against a team like Texas that has, they can go through stretches where they're passing really well with the crew they've got right now. But we're seeing a little bit of that passing break down quite a bit, especially as the set has neared the end. So, just a great job by the Kansas State servers.
Everything Carter's doing is turning to gold right now.
And not only is she crushing balls, she's doing it all over the court. She's not hitting any one spot that Texas can say, let's take this away from her. She's hit just about everywhere on the court.
Carter is up to 19 kills to lead the match. And Eggleston out of the back row, sides out for Texas. Eggleston now with 14 kills. And this is where you want your star to step up.
Yeah, Eggleston only had 2 kills in the third set.
Gabriel with the set. Butler hammers it in the middle. Breon Butler does not do anything halfway.
Even with blockers in front of her, Breon Butler just goes and hits it really high. You saw the help block coming from Aaliyah Carter. She was there to try to get hands in front of Butler, but Butler's just so high up.
Butler can touch 11 feet. She's 6'4". That goes out. Was it touched? No. Point Texas. A rare error from Carter. Carter with 19 kills. She's hitting .421 in this match. Texas must win this fourth set to keep this match alive. And Carter is stuffed.
So Carter's had some big swings and gotten some really good kills, but it's been when there's some space around the block, when there's a solid double block up in front of her. If she swings low anywhere around those blockers' arms, it's coming back down on her side.
That left arm of Butler responsible for that block. Butler leads the Big 12 in that category. She averages 1.42 blocks per set. She's already been the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week this year. She was a unanimous Big 12 first team performer last year. Well, our Week 6 Monday Night Football matchup has Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and the 3-2 Cardinals in Big D to take on.
Easy to see why this Kansas State recruiting class was ranked so high, because a number of these freshmen are making significant impacts on the match. Of course, it's obvious what Aaliyah Carter is doing. True freshman Mackenzie Morris, the libero, playing great defense. She's out of middle back, digging a lot of balls. And then they've got a true freshman starting in the middle in Fernholz.
This is the third straight season Susie Fritz has brought in a top 30 rated recruiting class and is starting to pay dividends. And on the right side, That is number 15 in white, Holly Bonde, getting the kill just to change things up a little bit for the Wildcats.
A nice set by Martin. That ball was a little bit tight, and then Bonde doing a good job of swinging high at the seam of the block.
Good receive by Eggleston, and Butler can't finish. But finally, Butler makes her presence felt again.
If she didn't get the kill on the ball she put over, then she just said, okay, I'm going to block this ball for a point.
And all of a sudden, Butler becoming a factor here in this crucial fourth set for Texas. Longhorns up by 2. They must win this set. And again, Bonde on the right side.
And Bonde has been relatively quiet throughout this match, with just her 5th kill of the match, but coming at a critical time when Kansas State has been pretty heavy setting the outsides and then able to go to their opposite there. And I mean, that's just a huge time for her to come on.
Bonde from the Chicago area, Manuka, Illinois. I just wanted to say Manuka tonight, so I'm glad I got that in. Hitting error, point to Texas, as that was Fernholz, one of those talented freshmen, just couldn't quite get that over the net. The Gatorade Player of the Year in South Dakota last year. We talked about earlier that she drove 2 hours every time to play for her club team in South Dakota, lived in a tiny area, Miller, South Dakota. Carter now being denied by the Longhorns on her last 2 swings, but she keeps at it. Phillips can't get it to go down. Good defense by the Wildcats. And Carter's off speed works.
I mean, how about the freshman? She got stuff blocked not too many plays ago, and then just has taken a few really good swings since then. She hit one ball that Texas was able to keep alive, then goes off speed again. I mean, she just doesn't seem phased.
So if you are undersized and you've been told your whole life you can't play outside hitter, you just take a look at Aaliyah Carter. She's only 5'9" and leads this match with 20 kills. Eggleston. Morris lays out and saves it. Carlson.
And a net violation on the Longhorns. Asia O'Neal called for that, so that's going to be again statted as a kill for Bryn Carlson.
And Carlson up to 16 kills. More importantly for her, she's tied this set 8 apiece. Kansas State is up 2 sets to 1 on the #1 team in the nation. And that is put down by Eggleston. Almost looked like she threw it down.
Definitely something we've seen from Eggleston and Skylar Fields. Just not only, a lot of times if a player's showing tip, they're going short. If they throw it deep, typically they try to go more down the line. So seeing that, just throwing it to the middle of the court, it's definitely worked.
Well, if you're a Longhorn fan, you did not like the memory of that last graphic when Texas, their last match loss was to Louisville in the NCAA tournament last year in Gregory Gymnasium. Denied Texas a 14th straight trip to the regional finals. They've been perfect so far this year, 6-0. O'Neal gets the tip, so the touch gives Texas the point. And that's a nice break for the Longhorns.
Every one of the Texas hitters has the ability to go up and absolutely crush the volleyball. But we've seen them also going off speed, even in good situations, to try and score. 3
Texas hitters in double figures with kills. They had 5 against Oklahoma. There's Carlson finding an opening. That was creative.
Well, there was no block up for Texas. The ball was set really tight. So typically that would be a trap set, but you can see Jenna Gabriel's about to pull off of the net and not have any block up in front of her.
Point Texas, and the Longhorns extend their lead to 2 here in the 4th. Fields leaping into the match.
She's done it every time she's subbed in. She looks at the down ref, makes sure she gets the okay, and then does her little jump 5 thing with her teammate.
There is so much charisma on this Texas team. When you hear their players talk, you feel like you're definitely looking at a future leader, but maybe a future senator or president. Or there's a lot of these players that want to go in the medical field. It's a high-level student athlete on this Texas team. Accomplished in the classroom and on the volleyball court. And crushed, absolutely hammered by Asia O'Neal.
And it started with a great pass by Sydney Peterson. She was, again, covering court, taking this ball that was more at Logan Eggleston, setting up Jenna Gabriel having either option to set, either pin. Just great job.
O'Neal has surpassed her season high for kills now. She's up to 12, and then there's a service error. That was biting Texas earlier in the match. But it is definitely a momentum killer.
Yeah, service error number 9 on the match so far.
Texas clings to a 1-point advantage here in this must-win set for the Longhorns. Hinkle back to serve. Hinkle's one of those all-around players. She played just about every position in high school. And now a sophomore.
Net violation that time called on the Kansas State blockers.
Take another look.
Definitely the left hand of Archibong on the way down.
Here's Archibong on the attack. She's blocked by Butler. Breon Butler, one of the best blockers in the nation, shows why there. Jenna Gabriel back to serve from Honolulu. Overpass. And a net violation called on Kansas State in the midst of that, so Texas gets the point and extends its lead to 4.
And the ball was passed tight, so it was going to be tough for the Kansas State setter to stay out of the net or at least not have a back row attack.
Kansas State trying to pull off a huge hit where the top 10 matchup which preceded us, Notre Dame, came from behind without their best player to beat Pitt, and now Kansas State has Texas on the ropes. Kansas State leading 2-1. Texas must get to a 5th set for the first time this year in order to win the match. Carter, she has been the player of the match for Kansas State and continues.
And that's the 21st kill for Aaliyah Carter, and she has just been phenomenal. She's hitting everywhere down the line, cross court. She's hit it to the middle when she knows there's a split in the defender. She's just been fantastic. And
the serving has been, I think, the big difference maker for Kansas State, because again, this was not known as a good serving team.
And that's service ace number 9 for Kansas State, and not to mention how many times they've been able to get Texas out of system.
Kansas State back to within 2. Butler unleashes and terminates.
And when Texas gets a good pass, that's when you see all of their offensive options available. They can go to Butler even with 2 blockers in front of her because she's so high, she can put the ball down.
Butler has 6 kills, 5 blocks. Carter. And Butler again. 7 kills now. Texas already has 3 players in double figures.
Exactly what Texas needs. Some good passes so that they can feed the middles.
Does it build your momentum anymore based on the way the kill is delivered, Jenny?
I think a lot of times when there's that big bounce, that ball like we just saw, it does fire up players a little bit more just because it is impressive, and just not everybody can do that.
Texas now has extended the lead to 5. They must win this set to keep the match going. Texas, the only undefeated team in the Big 12. Pushed over. Carter again.
So I called the match Kansas State had at West Virginia 2 weeks ago, and just even what I'm seeing from Carter 2 weeks out from that match, I mean, she's just making some really heads-up plays that you don't see a lot of times from a freshman.
Well, she's staring into a big front line from Texas, and at only 5'9", it amazes me she finds those openings like she does when she's below the net. Phillips, did she get the touch? No, just a hitting error, point Kansas State.
A lucky break for Kansas State because Carter was in to help block the middle and Breon Butler, and so really just was reaching out with a hand, and I don't know if Molly Phillips just wasn't aware that she really didn't have a block on her.
This set going to 25, win by 2. If Texas can get to a 5th set, it would be to 15, win by 2. We've already had one 5-setter tonight on our air. Notre Dame beating Pitt. Texas survives that rally, and O'Brien goes back to serve. The Longhorns have only lost 8 conference matches since 2011. That's a winning percentage of 95% in the Big 12 since then.
It's an unbelievable number.
Eggleston keeps it going for the Longhorns.
And that time Eggleston pushed her tip shot more down the line, still kind of deep, not as short, and she's able to find the court.
52 All-Americans have been produced at Texas. And there's O'Neal with the block, and Texas is starting to look more like the #1 team in the nation here deep in the 4th.
Definitely see a little bit of a different motor on Texas right now. I mean, they're really pushing to make sure they get to this 5th set.
Phillips having a good serving run. Eggleston. And it allows O'Brien to keep serving.
The ball dug over the net by Kansas State, and Logan Eggleston said, I'll clean that up. I'll take the kill.
Eggleston's up to 18 kills now. And more importantly, Texas now 2 points away from a 5th set. It would be the first 5-setter Texas has had to play this season. And Morgan O'Brien doing a fantastic job behind the service line. Carter misses. Was it touched? Yes. The down judge called it touch. The back judge had called it out. And so Kansas State avoids facing set point for now. How far back she goes on this serve. Carlson, dug by Eggleston. And the block gives Kansas State a 2nd straight point. That is the freshman, Katie Fernholz.
Katie Fernholz really did a nice job of showing that she was fronting the middle, but then reaching way over as Asia O'Neal tried to cut it back across her body. Really good job by Fernholz.
Texas still 2 points from winning this set and sending it to a 5th. And make it set point Texas as Eggleston gets her 19th kill. And the Longhorns are a point away from forcing a 5th set.
I have to imagine that if Texas gets a transition ball, I would be setting Logan Eggleston.
Carlson saves a set point for Kansas State, but a multitude of chances remain for the Longhorns.
Texas does have their setter front row, so their only 2 attacking options right now are Eggleston and O'Neal.
Good serve. But not good enough, as Asia O'Neal has just sent this match to a decider. One set determines who wins this here in Manhattan, Kansas. It'll be to 15, win by 2. The Longhorns in uncharted territory. This will be their first 5-setter of the season.
Well, Texas definitely upped their attack percentage, hit .419. Needed.
Carter with a career-high 23 kills. She's been a big reason that Kansas State led 2-1, but Eggleston started to come on strong at the end of the 4th. I can't wait for this 5th set.
It was a great first few sets, you know, depending on which team you're cheering for, but it's just what you expect to see with some of the players that we have on the floor. Of course, Carter has been a phenomenal freshman, making her presence known right away at this level, and she's doing it from all over the place. She's not just hitting a few areas of the court, she's really showing her range and some really good court awareness, and that's just not something that most freshmen come to college ready to do right away, and we're seeing that. She's gone off speed a number of times, just really smart heads-up volleyball.
49 swings for Carter, and she's hitting .327 in this match, leads the match with a career-high 23 kills. But Texas won that 4th set, hitting .419, and they really started to look dominant towards the end of the set.
Well, and Logan Eggleston can look dominant pretty much almost all the time. She had 6 kills in the first set, 5 kills in the second, only 2 in the 3rd set. So for Logan Eggleston to get hot again, 6 kills, no errors in that 4th set is exactly what you would expect from the Texas leader.
So when you add all those numbers up, my North Carolina Public Education tells me that's 19 total kills for Eggleston tonight.
Well, I just read it on the stat monitor in front of me. I wasn't going to do the math in my head.
Which is actually smarter than what I was doing. Bramlage Coliseum here on the campus of Kansas State University. It's been a beautiful autumn day, and it's turned into an incredible night for volleyball, not only here, but remember the match that preceded us, Notre Dame taking out Pitt in 5 sets. So welcome to volleyball, everybody. We're just so thankful that we're playing, and we're getting 5-setters everywhere tonight between the nation's top teams. Texas, ranked #1 in the nation, is now pushed to the 5th set for the first time all season. We're going to 15, win by 2. Phillips on the attack, denied by Kansas State. Here's Carlson. Good up by O'Brien. And from behind, somehow, Butler got that.
And I don't think that set was actually for her. I think the ball was being set to Logan Eggleston in the back row. But, I mean, that's the kind of athlete Butler is, that she can jump backwards and reach to get a ball like that and get a kill.
Coach Hazelwood, you're right, but it worked out well for Texas.
That definitely fooled Kansas State, too.
Carlson long. Was it touched? The official said yes, so Kansas State evens things up. When you play a 5th set, Jenny, is your mentality any different because of the shorter scoring?
It just goes by really fast, and so any unforced error gets magnified. So those net violations or service errors, you know, the ones that players are making without someone kind of forcing a play, it really does seem like it's a lot bigger. So it is important for players to just let mistakes go.
Skylar Fields enthusiastically rotates out after that kill to give Texas the 2-1 lead.
And with another really good tip shot to the middle of the court.
Yosia ready to serve, a first-team high school All-American last year out of Torrance, California. Coaches love what she brings to this program. And Texas again wins that rally to take the 3-1 lead here in the 5th. Again, we're going to 15, win by 2 to win the match. Texas is undefeated to this point. No touch, point Texas. And a timeout understandably called by Susie Fritz and Kansas State. Texas up 4-1 here in the 5th. Kansas State led 2-1 in this match. It was the first time all season Texas had trailed by a set, but the Longhorns have established themselves here early in this final set. But a good timeout by Susie Fritz as Carlson sides out right away for Kansas State.
That set looked a little bit tight, but Bryn Carlson did a really good job of getting on the ball fast. And the blockers for Texas not really fronting the ball and surrounding it where she couldn't hit that ball.
The intensity picking up here inside Bramlage Coliseum. Hinkle back to serve. Butler perfectly placed along that back line.
And that ball was overruled.
Yeah, now we've had a change. Well, let's see. I've seen the official point both ways.
There she goes. I think she just made the wrong indication of who got the point.
And an explanation being given, because I've seen servers on both sides of the court holding the ball just before this point. Right now, O'Brien has it on the Texas side, but Martin did have it.
Well, there's an order, so when the official, they award the point first and then indicate that a ball was in or out or whatever whatever ended the play. And I'm wondering if she indicated that it was in first and then gave the point over, but we're going to have a challenge here nonetheless because Coach Fritz saying she felt like it was out.
This is the final challenge of the match for Kansas State. Or excuse me, you get one more in the fifth set, so she is not out of challenges. Each team awarded an additional challenge. Fritz had used 2 of them to this point. She had won both of her previous challenges in the match. And let's review what you can challenge in volleyball. You get 3 per match, but you get that additional one in the fifth set, which is what she's enjoying right now. You can review whether a ball is in or out, whether it contacts a player or if a player steps over the line when serving, as well as a 3-meter attack foot fault.
And with the additional challenge in this fifth set, you know, not a bad idea. It was a really close attack. I mean, it happened really fast. That ball hit on that inline.
And it is going to be Texas's point. So that was the original call. It stands. And let's see if her shot went in. Texas up 5-2. They're a third of the way as Carter finds the opening in the defense. And Kansas State begins the comeback here, trailing by 2.
And that time Carter going with the off speed, but a little more toward the off blocker, Logan Eggleston, who sort of tried to back up before that ball was played, so she couldn't move forward and make the play.
Carter, a career high 24 kills. Remember, she's just a freshman. Here she is again. Eggleston. Eggleston denied on her last 2 swings. Carter misses. No touch. Point Texas.
The Texas players staying pretty patient with that. A good rally back and forth. Some nice defensive work by Shelby Martin, the back row setter.
How about the fatigue factor with the way this schedule is being played? Because these 2 teams will have to come right back tomorrow and play in the Big 12. They play back-to-back days.
Well, interesting you asked that, because that's one of the things that Jared Elliott said is definitely a little bit harder with the back-to-back days. So they like during the week just preparing for one opponent, so that has made that a lot easier instead of 2 different opponents. But the back-to-back days can make recovery harder.
Martin can't fool O'Brien. And we've got a violation on
a double contact.
Kansas State.
Yeah, double contact called on the setter for Kansas State, Shelby Martin, and it was kind of a delayed call.
Texas has maintained the lead throughout the 5th so far. The Longhorns pushed to a 5th set for the first time this season. And another timeout taken by Kansas State. Again, the Big 12 is playing more of a traditional regular season in terms of their conference matches. On this screen is Kansas State. Kansas State is ranked number 13 in the nation. That's their highest ranking since 2012. Tonight, Notre Dame, number 5, beat Pitt without their best player. They came from behind to win in 5. And the SEC just getting its fall season started.
Yeah, definitely difficult to have these rankings when everybody hasn't been playing yet. Of course, we all know not all the programs across the country are playing. So this is just the rankings of the teams that are playing this fall. And, you know, again, the committee doing the best job they can given the circumstances. And, you know, it's just been that kind of season. Just whatever, you got to work with what you got.
But it means a lot in the Big 12, more than I would argue the other conferences, because that automatic bid they've decided is going to go to the winner of this fall season.
I absolutely agree. And, you know, Texas, they said that the Big 12 really wanted to make sure that they could try to get all of their conference matches in if they could. And who knows, maybe there's a part of the spring season that we can't play. So
the NCAA tournament will go to 48 this year instead of 64, so that automatic bid even more valuable. Blocked by O'Neal, and Texas extends its lead.
Well, you talked about how much more valuable it's going to be to get that at-large bid. You see O'Neal just did a great job of getting her hand closed in that little bit of space. But the field goes down by half for the at-large bids. So that's, I mean, that's significant. So every match absolutely matters.
Morris lays out, saves it. Here's Carter, denied by O'Neal. But Kansas State ends up winning that rally as she actually tools that block.
Ashley Shook put in as the front row setter for that reason, to put up a little bit of a bigger block, but not able to get the block, and we see Jenna Gabriel right back in.
Yeah, Shook's rotated out. Kansas State trailing by 4. They led Texas 2-1. Texas had only dropped 1 set all year coming into this match. Fantastic effort tonight from Kansas State. Carter gets the touch, and another point for the Wildcats as they try to come back here.
And Jared Elliott's got his green card pulled up, so he is going to challenge this call. The line judge called it in. The up official said, I saw it in, but Jared Elliott hasn't had to use many of his challenges, so definitely a good time to use it.
Jared Elliott, one of the top coaches in the country, has guided this Texas program to so much success during his 20 years. Assisted there by Eric Sullivan on the left, a 2-time Olympian who played at UCLA collegiately. We've also got another former UCLA player on the staff this year, Riley Bushler, who was a first-team All-Pac-12 outside hitter at UCLA, is now a volunteer assistant coach for the Longhorns. It's becoming a Longhorn Bruin staff. So the point originally was given to Kansas State, and that call stands. Carter gets credit for the kill, which is her 26th of the match. And Kansas State is within 3. We're going to 15 win by 2 to decide this match. Eggleston, kill, left side. 20 kills now for Eggleston.
Well, we're going to see Shook coming back in really as a blocking sub here for setter Jenna Gabriel. Of course, Ashley Shook is a setter as well, so Shook, definitely. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say Shook's 9 in burnt orange. She's up on the front line there just so people can see where she is. There she is with her hands up. She's the backup setter to Gabriel. She gets the block and the point for the Longhorns. So there's that height you were talking about.
Yeah, when your team needs you to come up big, I mean, at 6'1", she's definitely going to be a more imposing block than 5'8" Jenna Gabriel, and she used every bit of that to block the ball.
And Shook is a former All-American. Texas up 10-5, making 11-5, and the Longhorns are getting closer and closer to withstanding the challenge by Kansas State. And huge impact by Ashley Shook here in the 5th set.
How about the senior coming off of the bench? She hasn't been on the floor until now in the 5th set, and she has just come in and done her job. She was ready to go.
She's not even sweating. So cool. That's out, and Texas up 12-5 now. 3 points from victory. And we're going to have a substitution for Kansas State. Number 1, Tayana Adams-Kainoe. The setter checks in and replaces Martin Kainoe. He's sprained her hand in the preseason and has been limited this year. But Kansas State running out of time here. They have got to side out quickly. And O'Neal is denied by Carter. Point Kansas State.
And that ball that was blocked looked like it was headed out of bounds, but O'Neal, she jumped so high she wasn't really on the ground in time to get out of the way when it hit her.
Yeah, that was going out. You're right. O'Neal would have had the kill, but it hit her off of the block. Carlson rotates back in on the front line for Kansas State. Kansas State trailing Texas by 6 in this 5th set that goes to 15, win by 2. Good up by Morris. Fields, another throwdown into the court. Ball just seems to hang there.
It can be just harder to read too when the tip is like that, because if a player is showing like a shorter tip, maybe they can shove it deep, but I mean from that angle she can really shove it just about anywhere.
Texas 2 points away from victory. Service error by O'Neal keeps Kansas State's hopes alive. No moral victories, but Kansas State's the only team this year that's led Texas 2-1. So things moving in the right direction for Susie Fritz Wildcats. Service error, and it is match point, number 1 ranked Texas. Gabriel will serve. Fields to end the match, and Texas survives in Manhattan.
Well, after a great few sets in the middle of that by Kansas State, really struggled in the 5th set. 5 kills, 7 attacking errors, hit negative. So unfortunate way to end after Kansas State had been so solid, but you got to credit Texas. They came out and made sure they won that one. Kansas
State earning some national respect tonight, pushing the number 1 team in the nation to 5 sets, but in the end, the Longhorns win out 15-7 in the 5th. For Jenny Hazelwood and our entire hard-working men and women behind the scenes here in Manhattan, I'm Sam Gore saying so long from Kansas State, where Texas has won in 5. On to SportsCenter.